What if I told you that one of the oldest civilizations in the world is still alive today? A nation that built walls so massive they can be seen from space, a culture that invented paper, gunpowder, and even the compass long before the West dreamed of them. A story of kings and conquerors, philosophers and poets, empires and revolutions. This is China, a nation with over 5,000 years of continuous history. From ancient dynasties to modern superpower, this is the epic story of China and how it shaped the world. So sit back, because what you're about to hear is not just history, it's the rise, fall, and rise again of one of mankind's greatest civilizations. Part 1. The Birth of Civilization, Myth and Foundation, 3000 to 1600 BCE. Long before Europe's castles or the pyramids of Egypt. Along the Yellow River in northern China, early humans began building what would become one of the most advanced civilizations in human history. These people settled, farmed millet and rice, raised livestock, and developed pottery. They created the foundations of Chinese culture, family structure, spirituality, ancestor worship. Legend tells of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, mythical rulers who taught humans how to farm, build, and govern. But the first historical dynasty, according to Chinese tradition, was the Qin Dynasty, founded around 2070 BCE by Yu the Great, a man said to have tamed the deadly floods of the Yellow River. There's little archaeological evidence for the Qin, but what comes next is real and it's revolutionary. Part 2. The Shang Dynasty, First Signs of Power, 1600 to 1046 BCE. The Shang Dynasty marked the first verifiable Chinese kingdom. They built bronze weapons and ritual vessels. They used oracle bones, animal bones inscribed with questions to the gods, thrown into fires, their cracks read by priests. This became the earliest form of Chinese writing. A king ruled with absolute authority, and social classes emerged: warriors, craftsmen, peasants, slaves. But just like many early dynasties, the Shang became corrupt, and their downfall was written in fire and rebellion. Part 3. Zhou Dynasty and the Mandate of Heaven, 1046 to 256 BCE. The Zhou Dynasty overthrew the Shang and gave birth to a concept that would rule China for centuries: the Mandate of Heaven. If a ruler was just, heaven would bless his reign. If he was corrupt, natural disasters or rebellion were signs that the mandate had been withdrawn. This idea justified countless revolutions in Chinese history. The Zhou introduced feudalism, allowing local warlords to control regions. But power decentralized, China fractured. What followed was one of the most chaotic periods in Chinese history, the Warring States era. Part 4. Warring States and Rise of Philosophy, 475 to 221 BCE. 7 major kingdoms fought endlessly for power. Armies grew, fortresses rose, blood soaked the soil. But in the midst of war, China produced some of the greatest minds in world history. Confucius, who taught order, respect, and moral duty. Laozi, founder of Taoism, who believed in harmony with nature. Mozi, who preached universal love. Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War. This period shaped Chinese identity, spiritually, ethically, and strategically. Then came a warlord who would change everything. Part 5. Qin Dynasty, China's first emperor, 221 to 206 BCE. Qin Shi Huang rose from the state of Qin and did what no one else could. He unified China. He declared himself the first emperor. Ruthless and efficient, he standardized writing, currency, weights, and built roads connecting the empire. He began work on the Great Wall, a colossal barrier against nomads. He built one of the most astonishing tombs in history, guarded by over 8,000 life-sized terracotta warriors. But his rule was brutal. Books were burned, scholars buried alive. The Qin Dynasty collapsed after just 15 years, but it laid the blueprint for the future. Part 6. Han Dynasty, China's Golden Age, 206 BCE, 220 CE. The Han Dynasty brought prosperity, peace, and progress. Under Emperor Wu, China expanded into Central Asia, Vietnam, and Korea. They opened the Silk Road, trading silk, jade, and spices with Rome, Persia, and India. Major achievements: paper was invented by Kai Lun. Astronomy, medicine, and metallurgy advanced. Confucianism became the foundation of civil service and education. China thrived, but internal corruption and peasant revolts like the Yellow Turban Rebellion led to collapse. After 400 years, the Han Dynasty fell, and China entered centuries of division. Part 7. 3 Kingdoms to Tang Dynasty, Poetry, Power, and Progress, 220 to 907 CE. For 400 years, warlords battled for dominance in a fractured land. This was the famous Three Kingdoms era, romanticized in literature and film. Eventually, unity returned under the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE. Often called the Golden Age of culture, cities like Chang'an became global trade and cultural hubs. Poetry flourished. Li Bai and Du Fu became legendary Buddhism, spread from India and took deep root in Chinese society. Women like Empress Wu Zetian even ruled as sovereigns. The Tang Empire was open, powerful, and culturally rich. Part 8. Song to Yuan. Innovation and Mongol rule. 960 to 1368. The Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279, brought inventions that changed the world. The compass, movable type printing, and gunpowder. The world's first paper currency, population boomed, cities expanded, science and math progressed. But the Song were militarily weak. Then came a storm from the north. In 1271, Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, founded the Yuan Dynasty, the first time China was ruled by non-Chinese Mongols. Marco Polo visited and described a glittering empire, but beneath it resentment grew. In 1368, a peasant rebel named Zhou Yuanzhang led a revolution. Part 9. The Ming Dynasty. Walls, ships, and isolation. 1368 to 1644. The Ming Dynasty rebuilt and reasserted Han Chinese control. The Great Wall was expanded. The Forbidden City was built in Beijing. Admiral Zheng He led enormous naval expeditions to Africa and the Middle East, decades before Columbus. But after his voyages, China turned inward. The navy was burned. Foreign influence was restricted. The Ming became rigid and inward-looking, eventually collapsing under its own weight. Part 10. Qin Dynasty. The Last Empire. 1644 to 1912. The Qing Dynasty was established by the Manchu, another non-Han group from the north. For over 200 years, China expanded to its largest borders ever. But in the 1800s, European powers began knocking at the door, with opium and cannons. Opium wars led to humiliating defeats. Hong Kong was taken by Britain. Internal rebellions like the Taiping Rebellion killed millions. The Qing could not hold back the tides of change. Part 11. Revolution and Republic. 1912-1949. In 1912, the last emperor abdicated. China became a republic, but not a stable one. Warlords fought for control. Japan invaded, millions died. Two major forces emerged: the nationalists, led by Chiang Kai-shek; the communists, led by Mao Zedong. A brutal civil war followed. After World War II, the communists won. In 1949, Mao declared the People's Republic of China. Part 12. Modern China. Struggle to superpower. 1949 to today. The early years of communist China were tragic. The Great Leap Forward caused mass famine. The Cultural Revolution destroyed culture and lives. But in 1978, Deng Xiaoping introduced reforms. China opened to the world, welcomed capitalism, and boom. In the 2000s, China became the world's factory. It lifted 800 million people out of poverty. It became a tech, military, and economic superpower. Today, China is a nation of contrast. Ancient temples beside megacities, communist slogans beside billionaires, censorship beside innovation. Why China's history matters. Today, China's story is not just a timeline, it's a mirror. It shows how civilizations rise and fall, how ideas outlast empires, and how power shifts over centuries. From oracle bones to AI, from emperors to entrepreneurs, from Silk Roads to satellites, China continues to shape the world. And to understand tomorrow's China, you must first understand its past. If you found this journey through 5,000 years of China fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more deep dives into the world's most powerful civilization. Drop a comment. What part of Chinese history surprised you the most?